Ladies and gentlemen, I am back. Welcome back to another episode of That's Right, I Said It. If you've watched a few of my videos, I'm getting a lot of messages saying your channel is helping me. I really appreciate it. It helps me to know that I'm not alone. If that's you, just subscribe to the channel. That's all I ask. It's a free service. I don't ask anything other than just take the 2 seconds to hit the subscribe button. You don't ever have to worry about it again, and it helps me out with my analytics and stuff like that, and kind of gives me some incentive to, keep doing the channel if it is in fact helping people, and it helps me as well. So I don't want to leave that out of the equation, and that's kind of why I started this channel, as a play to kind of help myself, because I noticed myself kind of going down there's good rabbit holes to go down, but more times than not, or more times than they are good, there are bad rabbit holes to go down. And for me, addiction to substances has just been one bad rabbit hole after another, after another, after another in my life. And it's kind of how I've lived my life, and trying to change that. All right, so I'm back on my Kratom taper. I'm actually taking 2 capsules less today than what I was taking yesterday. So today I will take right around, by the time the day's done, I'll be taking right around 10 grams of Kratom. And so I'll, steadily be chopping that down every couple of days, every few days. And there's a lot of talk on my channel, a lot of people kind of giving their own ideas and their 2 cents, which, listen, this channel is absolutely a 100% open forum for everyone. That's one of the reasons I created it, for people like us who struggle with substance abuse issues, to get on here and talk to me. I can talk to them, they can talk to other people. People can just talk amongst themselves, and they can share ideas and ways of going about doing things, like whether it be cold turkey quitting, tapering, or even if you're a person who is good with your use of Kratom or some other substance. I'm not here to judge anyone. This is truly a judgment-free zone. But I see a lot of people talking about, do this or do that, or start at a lower dose, just go ahead and cut it down. I had one guy say, go ahead and cut it down to 5 grams and then just start your taper there. I'm like, I'm on 12, not now, but at that time, I'm like, I'm on 12, 13 grams. If I jump straight to 5 grams, this isn't my first time to the rodeo. I've been through several cold turkey withdrawals, so it's not that I couldn't do it, and I know I could do it, and I kind of know what I'm up against, but everyone's situation and current relationship with whatever substance it is that they're using or abusing is different, and mine's different than everyone out there. And if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I just had a baby. My baby was born a month early, so while he's good, while he's healthy, he's presenting a set of specific challenges that my first son did not. We're having a lot of trouble with him. Obviously young infants don't really sleep through the night anyway, but he's having like some digestive issues because the doctors think there's nothing wrong with him, but because his digestive system was immature when he was born, it's taking him a little while to catch up. So he'll have this thing where he'll sleep a couple hours throughout the night, and then at 3 o'clock, this baby is up grunting and just fussing and grunting, and it's just a constant sort of thing. So for me personally, sleep is something that is really, really difficult to come by at this time. I'm a very busy person with a lot of responsibilities. Plus, I'm a 47-year-old man. I'm not in my 20s anymore. So I'm taking my time, because that's where I'm at in my life and in my current relationship with substance. And when you weigh how you're going to taper or how you're going to come off, whether it's cold turkey, tapering, whatever it is, you take that and you weigh it against all these other factors in your life. how old you are, what kind of responsibilities do you have. Do you still live at home with your parents? If you still live at home with mommy and daddy and you're not having to pay rent and you're not, big freaking deal. A cold turkey taper might not, or a cold turkey withdrawal may not be a big deal for you. If you're one of the main breadwinners and you have to be on your P's and Q's every day and make sure that you're up to the task of getting up, making sure you go to work, making sure you fulfill all your, parental responsibilities and this and that. A lot of people can't just put their lives on hold, because when you go to bed Monday and then you lay there all night, just in complete discomfort and staring at the ceiling and stuff, you have to get up and go to work the next day and you have to do what you have to do. And some people just say, sack it up and just deal with it, and I've done that, but I'm not doing that this time. There's a way I'm going to go about it. And, but like I said, for other people out there that are kind of exploring their own, options that are available to them as far as how they want to come off, whether it be taper or cold turkey, it's different for different people and different for different body types. And I think that's one of the things that I really try to portray on here. One good thing about this channel is it kind of helps people to not feel alone. You can pop onto a channel like this and you can see not only myself, but in the comments, tons of other people who have shared, similar struggles to what you might be experiencing. And let's just admit it, that feels good. If there's, in the midst of all the shitty feelings that surround drug addiction, drug abuse, and addiction to something, trying to come off of something like Kratom or some other opiate, all the shittiness that goes along with that, one thing that can make you feel just a little bit of peace and comfort is looking and seeing that, hey, I'm not the only one. It helps to know that other people have been where you're at, and are going through something similar. So that's the biggest thing here. And it is going to be different for everyone. Everyone's relationship, everyone's level of use and abuse, length of use and abuse is all different. Everyone's body types are different. Everyone's metabolisms are different. There's just a million different scenarios. So I want you guys to keep commenting, to keep, shooting out ideas to different people. That's what it's all about, and you can take what you need from this channel, take what you need from me, take what you need from the comments, apply it to your own situation. And if it helps you, great. If you find something that works for you, great. If someone suggests something that's just a little too steep for you, you're not ready for that, no one can make you ready. You know where you're at, what your current struggle, your current position is with your use or with your tapering or with your cold turkey or whatever it is. You know that better than anyone. So the rest of it on here, you can take it or you can leave it. That's the way I formatted this channel to be, and that's the way I want it to be. But nonetheless, I appreciate all the love and all the comments. Even those who are suggesting to me to do a certain type of taper or start at a certain amount and taper, I absolutely appreciate it. I really do. It shows that people care. And I appreciate, the help in that regard and the instructions. I do have in my mind kind of my own way that I want to go about it. This is definitely not my first time to the rodeo. I've done a cold turkey withdrawal from Vicodins back in the day, and I'm talking about heavy use. I've done a cold turkey withdrawal from Percocets, and I also did a cold turkey withdrawal from about a year and a half straight use of pretty heavy use of MIT 45s, Kratom. And I did that last year. So I'm definitely not a guy who is completely inexperienced when it comes to these things. So while I appreciate everyone, coming in and flooding the comments with ideas and theories that, and not just theories, but practices that others who are struggling with substance abuse can come and look at those comments and learn from, and take that and make that part of their arsenal of what they might attempt to do to come off of Kratom or whatever, some other sort of opiate. While I'm appreciative of all that, everyone's kind of at a different place, and that includes myself. So Anyway, today I'll be knocking it down again. I'll be taking a total of about 10 grams per day. Still having some serious night terrors, man. I had a dream last night that I got shot. And it was interesting because when you have something traumatic like that in a dream, I don't know why that when I start to increase my dose off of something like this, my dreams just tend to go south, man. And I can't really explain why that is, because I'm a very, I don't say passive. I'm a passive person in the sense that I'm just not a violent individual. So it was very ironic that it seems like every time I start to really lower my dose, I tend to have some serious, like, night terrors. My dreams just go south, and everyone that I have an interaction with in my dreams is, hateful. They're meaning me harm. They're aggressive. They're, whether it be just in their verbal speech or their actions. The one I had last night is a guy that I went to middle school with. I hadn't seen this guy in 35, 40 years. And I remember he was walking out. I don't even know where I was. I remember he was walking out, and the last thing I said to him was, "Hey, bro, I love everyone. I want everyone to be well. I want everyone to do well. I just love people." And I remember his exact response was, "Okay." But I could tell the way he said okay that he was still angry about something. I don't know. You know how dreams are. They're just random. You'll just pop in, and all of a sudden you're in this space in the dream, and you have no idea how you got there or anything. I had no clue. And I just remember he said okay, but he said it in a way like he was still pissed, and he walked off. I walked off, got about 20 feet away, and I see out of the corner of my eye somebody come in, and I hear poof, poof. He was shooting at me. And then when I woke up, I was laying on my shoulder in a way where my shoulder was kind of hurting, and I guess I was kind of feeling that pain in the dream at the same time. So when I woke up, I felt like he shot me in the shoulder, like in the back of the shoulder. Just so weird, man. I never have dreams like that, ever. In fact, when you're on something like Kratom, pretty heavily sedated and stuff, a lot of times that affects your dream state. And a lot of times I really didn't even remember my dreams, because I guess I was just completely passed out. So I guess a lot of that has to do with just my subconscious mind starting to come alive again, as I'm decreasing the doses. But anyway, that's an interesting aspect of it all. Leave a comment, let me know if you guys have dealt with that at all. When you start to taper cold turkey, your dreams get way more vivid, way more lucid. For me, way more aggressive and violent, I guess. Seems like every dream I have for the last 3 nights in a row have been, and a couple of them have been, one of them was with my dad. And my dad was like being ugly to me and just brash and like, and I'm like, that's absolutely 1000% not anywhere in my father's character. My father is one of the most low-key, loving, just caring, docile, was stoic type of individuals you'll ever meet. I don't recall ever. At most, I may have heard my dad get verbally irritated, but I've never even heard my dad raise his voice. He's just that type of man. And so to have a dream where he's raising his voice and getting aggressive with his voice, is like so out there for me, so different than what he is in reality. But so I want to mention some things. A lot of people have said they're getting a lot of help from this channel, and I think a lot of that is just knowing that you're not alone, and knowing that there's other people out there like myself who are kind of going down a similar path and struggling with what you're going through. But I want to at times try to do some actual legitimate research, and so I do that sometimes, and I'll print out some like articles and things like that so that I can give you some actual medical, scientific sort of data on what it is you might be going through. And I printed out something about opiate withdrawal, and I just wanted to read some of this out to you guys. opiate withdrawal, and a lot of people listen. A lot of people say kratom's not an opiate. It's not classified as an opiate. As far as its pharmacological setup, I'm pretty sure kratom is actually considered a food, which is crazy to me. But as far as its pharmacological setup, it's actually considered a food. But as we all know, that you could definitely consider it a drug because the effects that it has on the body and on the brain. But so anybody who's going to jump on, oh, kratom's not an opiate. Listen, I am not on here to speak against kratom or campaign against kratom or any other opiate for that matter. There are people out there that experience acute physical pain on a daily basis, and they may be required to take some sort of opiate for the rest of their life. My mom is one of those people. She doesn't abuse them. She's dependent upon them because she would go into some pretty serious chronic pain if she did not have them. But she never takes more than what she's supposed to. But she'll be on those the rest of her life. She's a 75-year-old woman. She has to do that. So I don't want somebody to come on my channel and hear some of the things I say and, come and lambaste me about, well, I have to take it. It's important for me to take it. I don't have a choice. And that may be true. And there's a lot of people out there that are in that situation. For me, personally, I don't have any physical pain. If I do, it's probably a result of having used kratom and used some sort of opiate medication for, the last 4 years. You can't call it a medication, it's a plant, but that actually causes like a dopamine dump in your body, and it causes your body to decrease the amount of dopamine that it's naturally manufacturing, which directly correlates to pain signals. People who experience chronic pain actually have a lessening of dopamine. So in other words, dopamine goes up, less pain. Dopamine goes down, it actually can cause people to feel and to be more sensitive to pain. A very interesting aspect of opiate addiction and opiate withdrawal, because when you think of withdrawal, one of the major things about withdrawal is the tanking of your dopamine system. Your dopamine system just gets tanked, because you're constantly just firing these opiate receptors with this substance, and so your opiate receptors are like in overtime mode. They're getting overworked to the point where eventually your body's reaction to that is, well, we got so much freaking serotonin and dopamine floating around in here, it's gonna last a while. Shut shit down. Shut the factory down. It's kind of like if you work at a factory and you're making trucks. Let's say you make 30 trucks per week. Well, let's say one week, you turn around and you're like, holy shit, we've made 80 trucks this week. That's almost 3 times the amount of what we're supposed to make in a week. I guarantee you the higher ups in that company are going to shut shit down for a couple of days, because they don't have buyers for those other 50 trucks, those 50 extra trucks that have been made. They don't have buyers for those yet. And they don't have buyers. That means they don't have money coming in that they can use to then turn around and pay the employees that are making the trucks and the materials that it's taking to make those trucks. So they're going to have to shut when things get in excess like that. Your body's reaction is to shut down some of your opiate receptors. So and your dopamine, the synapses that release dopamine and stuff like that, your body shuts those things down within the factory because they're getting so much of it. So then when you go and you abruptly stop, then you're basically in dopamine depletion mode. Like there's no feel-good chemical or very, very little feel-good chemical in your body, which is the reason that people report the low mood, the feeling down, the depression, the anhedonia, where you just have trouble finding pleasure in things. And that's one of the worst I would say that's probably one of the worst symptoms for me, is the depression and the feeling down. I can't stand that shit. I can't stand that shit. You know, the physical aspect of it, to me, I'm not saying the physical aspect of it isn't bad, but I can handle the physical discomforts. You know, it's the depression and the feeling like, oh my God, what do I have to live for now? That is just a really, really tough thing for me to go through. And, you know, and I think a lot of that just has to do with, even as a child and a young man, maybe I never really learned how to deal with my emotions in a positive, productive way. You know, never really learned how to cope with and deal with my emotions. So then I got on this kick of using substances to help me deal with and to help me cope. You know, well, I can't feel good on my own, so let me take this substance. Oh, look, now I feel good. Cool, problem solved. Give me some more of that. I'll just keep taking that, and then, you know, I'm good all the time. But the problem is that comes with a cost, you know. And you know, you're trading a short-term benefit for a long-term detriment is what you're trading when it comes to that. But so let me read this. Opioid withdrawal, which kratom is similar to that. It acts on the same opiate receptors. Let me just get that out of the way, because this is not, nowhere in this article does it say kratom. Okay? Nowhere in this article does it say kratom, but it is a partial opiate antagonist, and it binds to those same receptors as does Percocet, Vicodin, heroin, like any other opiate. You know, we can sit here and go around in circles all day arguing about whether it's as strong or whether it's weaker, or, you know, and I don't think it is as strong, but it still does the same thing in principle, and the withdrawals from it are very similar in their approach as, you know, withdrawals to something like heroin or Percocet, Vicodin, whatever. Opioid withdrawal is what happens when you stop taking opioids after your body has come to rely on them to feel okay. It can affect you in many ways. Opioids attach to things called receptors on nerve cells in your brain, spinal cord, and other places to block pain messages that your body is sending to your brain. They also trigger your brain to release dopamine, a chemical that makes you feel good. Opioid drugs like oxycodone or morphine can help with pain when you have surgery or when you've been injured. Some people also use illegal forms like heroin. Prescription opioids are usually safe to use for short time and directed by your doctor. If you need to stop taking long-term opioids, talk to your doctor. Do it safely. You need to take less of the drugs slowly over time, as a medical team keeps a close watch over you. See, one of the things it says right here that immediately jumps out at me: prescription opioids are usually safe to use for a short time. You know, so if you're taking anything that attaches to those opiate receptors in your body, if you're taking anything like that on an ongoing basis, you know, on a regular ongoing basis, no bueno, son. No bueno. Opioid withdrawal symptoms. Man, some of these, when I read these, I was like, oh yeah. Anxiety, goosebumps, restlessness, insomnia. That's, I'd say that's probably the worst one. For me, that's the worst. Yawning, which I will say, I haven't noticed as much of that with kratom. When I was coming off of Percocets and Vicodins back in the day, years and years and years ago, oh man, I mean, I just remember going through periods of time where I was literally every 5 to 10 seconds. I mean, it's just such an annoying thing. Runny nose, same thing. I'll notice that when I start really lowering my dose of kratom, that I'll start sneezing more often, and it feels like I'm kind of having like almost an allergic hay fever sort of reaction, but you know, that's not what it is. It's decreasing the amount of kratom. Widened, dilated pupils, body aches. Again, this goes back to how it wreaks havoc on your dopamine system. You know, you start having less dopamine like that, you literally start hurting in places that you didn't hurt before. There's times where I've come completely off, especially if I did like a cold turkey for a few days or something. I mean, there was times where I was like, for 3, 4, 5 days, I'm like, what? Why the fuck is my knee hurting? I don't have any problem with my right. I mean, my left knee kind of hurts. You know, I've always had issues with my left knee, but why the fuck is my right knee hurting? It doesn't even make sense. Oh, why is my back hurting now? I don't have back issues, you know. I mean, up here, like in places where you hold tension, like up here and upper back and stuff, you'll notice when you do, especially decrease by a large amount, your dose of something like kratom or another opioid, you'll start just having general pain in places that you never knew you had pain before. And literally what that is the dysfunctioning of your dopamine system. Your body has shut off production. Shut down the factory. There goes the buzzer. Shut down the factory. Clear everybody out. No more dopamine creation for today. You know, that is your body's response to you flooding it with kratom or Vicodin or oxycodone or whatever. And then, so when you go to stop taking it, the dopamine, which actually helps with these pain signals and stuff, like everything's shut down. So then your central nervous system is just like pew, 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 pew. Watch out for the sound effects. I'm sure I probably spit on the phone right then. Actually, there's some spit on my window right there. I'm just kidding. There's not. But you get the point. Your central nervous system is just firing all over the place. It's completely confused. There's no stasis. You know, there's no just, you know, there's no homeostasis. There's no just feeling of well-being inside you because everything's just all out of whack. I know it's a very rudimentary way of describing it, but I'm a rudimentary sort of guy. I mean, you know, if you guys were coming on here to hear some doctor, you know, give you all the technical terms and stuff for stuff like this, like, go listen to one of those guys. Come on this channel, you get pew, 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 pew. That's what you get. But anyway, thanks for listening. Oh man, here's some more. Sweating, vomiting. I personally have never had vomiting with opiate withdrawal, and I've had some of the worst opiate withdrawals. I've never actually vomited from it. Diarrhea, here's the next one. Diarrhea, definitely have had that with Vicodin, Percocet, and with kratom. I will say it didn't persist for as long and wasn't quite as severe with kratom, but definitely had it. You know, if you're coming doing like a cold turkey off of something like kratom, you can anticipate kind of having some loose bowels and stuff for a few days. So you might have to take, you know, for a few days something like loperamide or something to kind of harden things up in there. You know, I just kind of suffered through it. It sucks, but in a weird sort of way, it's kind of it kind of feels good in the sense that you feel like you're purging of things that just have been stuck up in your bowels for a while. You know, that's why people have reported, I've had people message me and say, dude, I had one guy message me, I'm sorry I can't remember his name now, but one guy messaged me and is like, I'm a slender dude, I look like I'm pregnant. He said that the kratom was doing that to his gut, just causing him to like be distended and like, you know, stopping him up and stuff like that. And it'll cause things to not really flow that well, especially if you don't drink a lot of water, you don't exercise, or you don't eat a great diet with it. You know, it can make it worse. For me, I have had sometimes, a few times where I've felt like kratom definitely served to kind of stop me up a little bit. But I'm one of those people that I eat super healthy. I eat tons of fibrous foods, fruits, vegetables. I drink a ton of water every day. I try to exercise a few days a week. So with that, I haven't had a whole lot of issues with, you know, something like being constipated with it. But a lot of people have reported having it. Fever, shaking. Fever and shaking I've never really had. Definitely cold chills. Rapid breathing, fast heartbeat, high blood pressure, hallucinations, and seizures. Obviously, some of those are the more serious ones. These can show up within 12 hours after you take your last dose of the drug. Many people feel so bad that they can't give up the drug without help. How serious your symptoms are depend on several things. How long you've been using the drug. Man, I beat this drum on here all the time because people pop up on the channel, what did you do? And I didn't have any withdrawals, and I did this, and I feel completely fine, no problem. You know, people do. I don't mean to make fun of anybody. Everyone's situation is different. It really is. And, you know, like I talked about this yesterday, what makes my clock tick may not make your may not make your clock tick. You know, so what works for me may not work for you. What works for you may not work for me. We're all built differently. Our ages are different. Our metabolisms are different. We all have different diets. We all have different lifestyles in terms of whether we're sedentary or active or really active. You know, we're all different. And so it is perfectly understandable that there are some people out there that use it for 3-4 years. You know, they just decide one day, you know, I don't really want to do this shit anymore. And they just stop, and they really don't have much trouble with withdrawals. There are people, I'm sure, that are like that. I'm not one of them. I wish I was. I'm not one of them. I tend to have some pretty significant, you know, withdrawal symptoms when I stop after I've been doing something for a while. But so I'm definitely not throwing off on anyone or belittling anyone's specific experience, because everyone's experience with this shit is different, you know. And that's, I beat that drum all the time on this channel. So how long you've been using, how long the drugs stay in your system, how healthy you are. Again, if you're a sedentary person, you're not a very, in general, healthy person, you know, your withdrawals could be a lot less. They could be a lot longer. Whether you're quitting cold turkey or using other drugs to help you stop taking opioids. So if you're cold turkey and you're not taking anything else to you know, help mitigate or alter your withdrawals at all, then it could be worse. You know, there may be some, and people talk about that on this channel all the time, things that you can do to actually help with it. Anyway, I need to get off here. I know I'm kind of all over the place today. I hope you guys have gotten some out of this, you know. And I'll probably, this article is longer. It talks about here symptoms can last from a few days up to more than a couple of weeks, the acute withdrawals. For most people, the worst symptoms get better after a few days. And again, you know, this stuff varies. For me, when I quit cold turkey, usually after about 3 to 5 days, the daytimes tended to start getting better. But for me, I don't know if it's just me or if it's something that's common for everyone, but the freaking sleep piece. I went for 2 weeks and didn't sleep. That's not a joke. And I know that was definitely had to do with the withdrawals, because after I finally fell asleep that first night and was able to sleep for a few hours, then after that, it just kind of consistently, gradually, incrementally got better. But for 2 weeks, I did not freaking sleep. But during that time, like especially the 6, 7, 8 day mark, during the day, you know, I was starting to feel okay. I didn't really have a lot of these other symptoms, you know, other than just being a little like down, little low energy and stuff. But the acute withdrawals, the physical withdrawals, mostly were gone. But the sleep was not fixed. I can tell you that for sure. So everyone's different, you know. But anyway, we'll pick this up next time. Like the video, comment down below, let me know your experiences with this stuff. Love you guys. Subscribe to the channel. See you next time.